Welcome to Eating Smart, Being Active. My name is Emily Hayes, and I work for the University of Arkansas Division of Agriculture Cooperative Extension Service. Would you guys like to introduce yourselves?
Rachel.
And I'm Allison.
Nice to meet you guys.
Nice to meet you.
I work for FNEP, and that is the Expanded Food and Nutrition Education Program. And I help people learn how to make healthy foods and to be more physically active. We're going to be using a curriculum called Eating Smart, Being Active, and this is based on scientific research with nutrition and physical activity. So as a result of this program, I love trying all the new recipes in Eating Smart, Being Active, and I hope that you guys throughout the course of these 9 lessons find something that you really love out of this and that you may try throughout the course of your future with cooking and being active. So throughout the course of the 9 lessons, I'll be asking you some questions, but they're always going to be on a volunteer basis. So you can share if you want to share, or you don't have to share. So would anyone like to share their favorite food or meal?
Sushi.
I like Mexican burritos and tacos.
I do like Mexican too. I'm happy with either option.
I love Italian. Mm-hmm. So we all eat foods for different reasons, depending on our childhood, our family traditions, or even religious preferences. But food can also play a role in our health, and making good choices with food can help prevent diseases in the long run. Like I said, this curriculum, Eating Smart, Being Active, is based on scientific research and dietary guidelines for Americans, and it's also based on the physical activity guidelines for Americans. I'm sure you guys have seen this My Plate poster either in school, growing up in school, or just hanging around in different places, maybe at the grocery store. But this is just a way that we should all eat, and the way that our plate should look every time we sit down at a meal. So now we're going to talk about the main messages we'll cover in the Eating Smart, Being Active curriculum. So we're going to talk about how to eat healthy on a budget, how to plan meals and snacks, how to keep food safe, and lastly, how to be more physically active. So in every lesson, we're going to prepare a recipe, and we're also going to do physical activity in every lesson except the lesson today. So also with every lesson, you'll receive an enhancement, which is just a tool to hopefully to help you practice what you use in the lesson. So now I'm going to distribute the worksheet to you guys. And every lesson has a worksheet and a handout. This lesson just has a worksheet. And follow along on your worksheet. We're going to go through all of the different lessons, all 9 of the different lessons, and talk about what we're going to be discussing in each lesson. And I'm going to show you what enhancement we're going to get in each lesson. So today we're going to talk about knife skills, and we're going to cook a delicious recipe. And today you're going to receive a cutting mat, and this is what it looks like. It's a flexible cutting mat, and it's 2-sided. And on the side, it has different tips and hints about how to use your cutting mat, how to use a scrub brush, and how to keep food safe while you're chopping. The second lesson, as we follow along on our worksheet, is called Get Moving. So this lesson is going to be all about physical activity. And at the end of that lesson, you're going to get a water bottle, because we're also going to be talking about how important it is to drink water while we work out. This is what the water bottle will look like. Green. It's a collapsible water bottle. Have you guys ever seen a water bottle like this?
No.
It's different, huh? Lesson 3 is Plan, Shop, and Save. So this This lesson will be about how to make a grocery list based on what you already have at home. And when you go to the store, you'll be less likely to spend more money because you've already compared what you have at home. You've made a list, so you're going to buy exactly what's on your list. And so we'll get a grocery pad for that lesson, and that's what this looks like. Lesson 4 is fruits and vegetables, half your plate. We're going to learn about how to add more fruits and vegetables to our diet. And we'll get a scrub brush at the end of that lesson. So that I'll teach you how to scrub your vegetables and make sure we clean them really good. Lesson 5 is make half your grains whole. We'll learn why whole grains are important and how to pick out whole grains compared to the other grains. And we'll get a set of dry measuring cups for that lesson. Lesson 6 is go lean with protein, and we're going to learn how to choose protein foods that are lean, like lean turkey, chicken, and even some other sources of protein that are non-meat sources. And we'll get a refrigerator thermometer because we'll also be talking about how to keep food safe and cooking them to the right temperature and storing them properly. Lesson 7 is build strong bones. So we're going to be talking about foods high in calcium. And we'll be getting a exercise DVD at the end of that lesson. Lesson 8 is called Make a Change. And we'll be talking about how to reduce fat, sugar, and salt in the foods that we eat. And we'll be getting a set of measuring spoons like this. And then lastly, lesson 9 is celebrating eating smart, being active. And you will be getting a cookbook for the whole program. And I do not have that with me today, but it's a spiral bound cookbook to where you'll have all the recipes that we've cooked plus more throughout our whole program. So let me get these back in the bag. Any questions so far? Are you guys excited about getting all of these goodies?
Yep. I like free stuff.
Okay, and then once you complete all of the 9 lessons, you will get a graduation certificate for Eating Smart, Being Active, which looks like this. And it'll be in a nice, pretty frame with your name on it. So, as I mentioned, we will be doing physical activity in all of the lessons except the lesson for today. And just as a reminder, be sure to wear comfy clothes and shoes, and be sure to bring your water bottle or a water bottle because we'll be wanting to drink some water in between workouts. So, now let's take a minute to stretch.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to inhale through our nose and exhale through our mouth. 1, 2, this feels good, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Last one. 3. It feels good to get up and stretch just a minute. Now we're to the point in the lesson where we're going to learn about basic knife skills. Does everyone feel comfortable using a knife?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Well, good. Okay, the first thing we're going to do, if you want to take a look at the visuals, is learn how to hold a knife properly. So how we hold it is on the handle of the knife, and we want to make sure that our thumb and our index finger are holding the knife securely on the handle, or if you're using a larger knife, you may need to choke up on the knife some. And you can put your thumb and index finger on the blade part just up at the top if you needed to choke up on the handle if it were a larger knife. But be sure that you hold it securely with your thumb and index finger on the handle or on the blade here. The next thing I want to show you guys is we never want to cut directly towards our hand. We always want to cut directly towards a surface like a cutting board. We also want to be sure that we use what we call a bear claw motion, and that's just simply tucking our fingers in to make a bear claw on a vegetable when we cut. Also, with round vegetables, we want to create a flat surface. So like with an onion, if you can see here in this picture, they're slicing that onion in half to create a flat surface where the flat surface can be laid on the cutting board. And that's just for safety, so the onion doesn't roll around and your knife slips. Next, we're going to practice cutting away from your body and towards the cutting board. So remember, we want to use our claw-like motion, tuck our fingers in so we keep them safe, and we're simply going to cut down. And as we cut, we are moving the carrot. We're not moving the knife. That way our knife stays in the same secured place, and we're just moving the carrot through the knife, cutting towards our cutting board. Also, when we're carrying a knife, if we need to walk over to the sink and wash it off or carry it to another place in our counter space, we want to make sure that we hold it down, pointing down towards our side like that. Also, if you're cooking with someone and need to pass the knife to them, never pass a knife with the blade pointing towards them. Always pass the knife with the handle towards the person you're wanting to give it to. And lastly, to keep a knife secure, we can either use a sheath to protect it in our drawer at home, or if we're traveling and need to transport a knife somewhere, we can use a kitchen towel, lay it out, and make sure that we wrap our knife up securely in it. And you can even use tape to tape around the towel to hold the towel in place and secure the knife that way. Okay, now it's y'all's time to try. If you'd like to participate, you can. So who wants to try some of these knife skills that we just learned?
Sure, I'll try it.
Okay. Who wants to practice holding the knife properly? Hold the knife properly with your thumb and index finger. Very good. Do you want to practice chopping down towards the cutting board?
Sure. Sorry.
Very good. And can you hand it back to me properly? Thank you.
You're welcome.
Would you like to try?
Sure.
Can you show me how you would hold it properly? Good.
Dang it.
And how would you walk with it?
With it pointing down to your side.
Very good. And then how do you pass it back to someone?
Flip it around.
Very good. Do you want to practice chopping? You good?
I think I'm good on the chopping.
Okay.
Back to it.
Okay. So now we're going to talk about the different kinds of cutting mats or cutting boards. Which is better, do you think? Wooden, plastic, glass, ceramic? What do y'all like to use?
I like wood and plastic depending on what I'm cutting.
Okay.
Like I do breads and vegetables and fruits on wood, but all my meats go on plastic.
Gotcha. So you keep your meats separate from your vegetables.
Yes.
Good. We're going to talk about that here in a minute.
I have both as well. I have plastic and wood.
I have glass, and I heard recently that they really dull your knives.
Mm-hmm.
They're
And I
really
believe it
pretty.
because I feel like I sharpen my knives a lot. So like Allison mentioned, she uses one cutting board for fruits and vegetables and one cutting board for meat. That's really, really important to prevent cross-contamination. We never ever want to use the same cutting board to cut raw meat as we do vegetables. That can make us really, really sick and get a foodborne illness. So if you can, keep those separate. Otherwise, make sure that you wash your cutting board really good after you cut raw meat on it with hot, soapy water. Also, plastic, glass, and ceramic cutting boards can be washed in the dishwasher, which is good, but wooden cutting boards have to be hand washed or they might crack in the dishwasher. Cutting boards can wear out over time, so we always want to replace those when we see that the grooves are getting too deep or food's getting caught in the grooves and they're not able to get clean very well. So now it's time to cook our recipe for this lesson. So with our Eating Smart Being Active curriculum, we have a mobile app that is free for iPhones and Androids. So we're going to walk through how to download that today. If you do have a phone and want to get it out, you can do so. Otherwise, I can give you a handout after class that tells you how to do it later if you want to do it then. The app has a lot of useful information. The homepage has a daily activity and recipe that you can look at. Also, it has an activity section that has a variety of different workouts that you can do, some that we'll do in class and some that you're welcome to try anytime you want to. They also have a video that has a lady moving that shows you how to do the moves. There's a recipe section on the app, so if you just happen to lose the recipe handout that you get in the lesson, you can easily access it through the app. The recipes are sectioned by vegetables, soups, salads, and main dishes in the app, so you can easily find what you're looking for. The app also has a unit price calculator that basically tells you what the cost per serving of a recipe would be. We'll talk about that in Lesson 3 in more detail. And lastly, the app has a Me section, which would just be for you to manage your account if you needed to change any settings or anything like that. The one thing that I love about the app is that you can add in your recipes and you can add in the physical activity that you do each day to keep track of that kind of thing. Also, it has a step tracker. So if you were interested in keeping track of how many steps that you took each day, it has a step tracker in it. So now we've reached the point in our lesson where we're going to do the paperwork. So I'm going to pass all of that out to you. We have 3 different papers. We have a waiver. We have a food and physical activity questionnaire. And we have an adult enrollment form. So the first thing we're going to do is the waiver. And if you just take a moment to read and sign that. Okay, if you guys would find this piece of paper, the food and physical activity questionnaire, we're going to go through that together first. So I'm going to read the question and the responses, and you circle which one best fits you. So number 1, how many times a day do you eat fruit? Examples of fruits are apples, bananas, oranges, grapes, raisins, melon, and berries. Include fresh, frozen, diced, or canned. Do not include juice. Do you rarely eat fruit? Less than 1 time a day, 1 time a day, 2 times a day, 3 times a day, 4 or more times a day. Number 2, how many times a day do you eat vegetables? Examples of vegetables are green salad, corn, green beans, carrots, potatoes, greens, squash. Include fresh, canned, and frozen vegetables. Do not include French fries, potato chips, or rice. Do you rarely eat vegetables? Less than 1 time a day, 1 time a day, 2 times a day, 3 times a day, or 4 or more times a day? Okay. So now if you would get out your enrollment form, which looks like this, we're going to fill this out together. So in the top left-hand corner, you will see a place to write your name, address, city, phone number, email. And then to the right, your age, gender, and down below that, your race, place of residence, public assistance, and have you enrolled in ESBA before? Also, I want all of you guys to know that all of this information is confidential. Also, total household income, and then be sure and list your children's ages. They do not have to have their name. You don't have to write their name, just write their age. And then type of instruction. We're in a group today. And that's it. So now it's time to review. Like I said earlier, this lesson doesn't have a handout, but we do have the worksheet. And we're just going to review this really quick. Like I said, our program is based on the Dietary Guidelines for Americans. And these guidelines are based on lots of research. And when we do abide by these guidelines and choose healthier foods and be physically active, we can reduce the risk of developing some kind of nutrition-related disease. The MyPlate picture is a good example to follow when we are making our meals at home, making sure our plate is half of fruits and vegetables. We have our protein, grains, and dairy at each meal. We will be doing physical activity in the lessons here on out throughout our program, so remember to wear comfy shoes, closed-toed, and clothes that you can move easily in. Again, our lessons are today, welcome to Eating Smart Being Active. Next week, we will have Get Moving, and then from here on out, we will have Plan, Shop, and Save, Fruits and Vegetables, Making Half Your Grains Whole, Go Lean with Protein, Build Strong Bones, Make a Change, and then we're going to celebrate all of our new behaviors that we've learned with Eating Smart Being Active. Today, we also learned how to hold a knife properly and lots of basic knife skills of what to do and what not to do with a knife. So I hope you can take those home and practice those with your new cutting board that I'm about to distribute to you. So here is yours.
Oh, thank you.
And here's yours. So the last thing we're going to do is turn to the back side of our worksheet and fill these sections out. The two things I hope to learn from Eating Smart Being Active are blank and blank. So if you want to take a minute to do that, you can. And then we will set a time to meet for our next lesson. I do believe we're on the schedule to meet next week. And I want to ask you guys what you would like me to cook next week. Does skillet lasagna sound better or an enchilada casserole?
Skillet lasagna.
Skillet lasagna?
Lasagna sounds good.
Do you guys have any dairy allergies or allergies to spinach or anything like that?
I don't.
No.
Well, good. Very good. Well, thank you guys for coming to our first lesson, and I'm excited to see you back next week.